Welcome back, everybody, to our second episode of Cooking with Collin. This month, we'll be looking at some spooky tricks and treats that you can use for some Halloween snacks right here in the comfort of your own suite. Let's get started. Alright, so for our first recipe, we're going to start off nice and simple. For this, we're going to need some tortillas purchased at the farm store. They are also available at Vista Market, but they come in a different size. Some shredded cheese, and a plastic knife that you can also purchase from Vista Market. And that's really it. All right, let's get right into it. So first, I'm going to simply take one tortilla, and you're going to go ahead and, using your knife, just cut out a jack-o'-lantern shaped face onto the tortilla. Now, I would do that live, but that sounds like it would be a time-consuming and boring process to watch. So, video editing magic powers, go! And there we have it. So, we got our jack-o'-lantern carved face now. Now all you're going to do is take one more tortilla, and we're going to use that as a backdrop for a nice looking quesadilla. But for that, we're going to need to head over to the stove. Alright, so this next part is pretty straightforward. So, I went ahead and already heated up my pan to a medium heat. And now all we are going to do is, for one, take that second tortilla and just go ahead and plop it in the pan. Give it a second to warm up. And then we're just going to go ahead and take some of our shredded cheese and put a nice layer on top of this tortilla. So I'm just going to put, and as always, this is kind of a preference thing. If you want to put a lot more cheese, if you want to put a lot less cheese, that's up to you. But I'm just going to put a nice even coat that covers the tortilla as well as I can. You can hear it sizzling. That's all right. That's just the bits of cheese that fell off into the pan. That's not a problem. They should clean out pretty easily. All right, so now that I have that layer, I'm going to go ahead and put my jack-o'-lantern carved face on top and try to line up the edges as best I can. And just press that in there. All right, now we're just going to give it a few seconds. Give it a few seconds, and then we're just going to go ahead and flip it so that both sides get evenly warmed, evenly cooked. You can see some of the cheese on the inside is already starting to melt. That's a good sign. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, with my spatula, just get under it and flip it over. That's a good level of crisp that I want on that tortilla. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds on the other one and then go ahead and flip it again. You can press it down if you want it to cook a little faster, or just make sure it's cooking evenly. I'm going to flip it again. Alright, very nice. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on that side, give it a little longer to cook. There we go. All right, might have gotten a little crispier than I wanted it to, but that's all right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my heat. And it looks like that's about done. Again, careful with the steam. Don't want to be setting off any fire detectors. And there you have it, jack-o'-lantern quesadilla. Alright, so that is our first recipe of today out of the way. Now before we move on to the next part, I will go ahead and get a quick disclaimer out of the way. So, as per last time, I did purchase every ingredient used in this episode here on campus, either at Vista Market or at the farm store. That being said, the farm store and Vista Market, while they are great places to shop if you're in a pinch, aren't always the most practical or well-priced places to buy food. So in some of these recipes, there might be things that if either you have certain preferences over or certain dietary restrictions, you might not be able to find them on campus. So you might need to go outside and look elsewhere for those. But as I said, every ingredient used for the recipes in this video were purchased on campus, and you can use your meal points at either Vista Market or the farm store. All right, now that that's out of the way, on to the second recipe. Okay, so on to the second recipe. We are going to need at least one apple. These are about, I believe, $1.50 at the farm store. A jar of peanut butter. I used creamy. You can use what you want. And some marshmallows. You'll see why in a minute. No worries. So first, we're going to take the apple, and you're going to want to go ahead and cut it into some pretty thin slices, some thin wedges. Now, you can use a plastic knife, as I said before, but also not sold on campus. There are some apple core slicers, some things, this tool that will both cut out the core of the apple and cut it into slices. But as I said, we're using things on campus, so this will be fun. All right, and go. There we go. Whew, that was exhausting to do with a plastic knife. But okay, now that that's over, for each individual treat that we're going to be making with this, you'll actually only need 2 apple slices. So what we're going to do now is, using this, you can use the same knife that you already did, is we're going to get a little bit of peanut butter, and just on each slice, just a layer of peanut butter on one side of it. You can do as thick or thin as you want. I'm not a huge fan of peanut butter, so I'm going to do a thinner coat. This might get tricky because of the moist skin on the apple. Might make it a little bit difficult to get the peanut butter on there, but if you're persistent, you can get it on there without much of a hassle. All right, now that I've got my peanut butter on there, what we're going to go ahead and do is, I'm going to go ahead and set those down. And I'm going to take our marshmallows, which I've put in a Ziploc bag for convenience, and I'm just going to, on one of the apples, just take them and side by side along the wider edge. All right, that's looking good. Now we're going to take the other end with the peanut butter and kind of close it down on them a little bit. And there you go, you've got some spooky denture looking things. All right, so pretty simple, 3 ingredients, pretty quick and easy, and for one whole apple you can get quite a few of those cranked out. All right, that's the second recipe down and done. All right, so before we move on to our third and final item of the day, I do want to take a second to talk about our prize giveaway for this program. So the way it works is it's very simple. All you need to do is make one of the items shown in the video today, take a picture of it and post it to Instagram, tag at CPPUHS events, and include the hashtag Cookin with Collin. And at the end of the month, we will pick 3 winners to win a care package of our CTC merch. And if you're watching this on YouTube instead of in the Zoom, don't worry, you're still able to participate. Just make sure to, as I said, post on Instagram, tag us, hashtag us, and you will be considered. So on with the video. This final recipe, we're going to need some Reese's peanut butter cups, some Oreo cookies, some peanut butter, again creamy, and optionally some marshmallows and Nutella hazelnut spread. These 2 are optional, but the rest are the main parts of the recipe. So let's get started. So for this, you're just going to need to take one of the peanut butter cups out of its wrapper, a few Oreo cookies, depending on how this next part goes, and as previously mentioned, peanut butter, just a little bit for this one. So what we're going to do is, first you're going to take the Oreo and split it apart. And you're actually not going to need the cream for this part, so do what you want with that. I'll be right back to cleanly wipe these off. All right, so I went ahead and just cleanly wiped those off. Definitely didn't lick off the cream like a savage. So what we're going to do, and this part does get tricky, is we're going to cut off, or at least try to cut off, certain shapes off of the cookie part of the Oreo. Now this will get tricky because the Oreo cookies will tend to not want to cooperate, but if you just keep at it, you will get it. So you can see I'm cutting off this kind of, not quite semicircle, but a little bit less than that shape. And what I found works is if you just saw away at it, it'll come off nice and clean. If you try to just press into it, chances are the cookie will just break apart and not give you the shape that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that a few more times. Just sawing away. Perfect. There we go. That's good. And I'll just go ahead and take this second one, do the same thing. Now you can make these shapes bigger or smaller if you want, but for now I'm just going to get a total of 4 of those per one Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the same knife that I used to cut them up and put just a little dab of peanut butter. I'm going to put one there and one here. It doesn't really matter what the placement is, you'll see why in a second. Right, then I'm just going to take 2 of the Oreo cookie pieces and just in each of those spots, just put them next to each other like that. And then down here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put them in a little bit of a different direction. And there you go. That way you have 2 little bat-shaped bats on your Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Now comes for the optional part that I was talking about with the marshmallows and Nutella. So as it is, this is looking pretty cool. You got your 2 little bats. You can add more, as I said, if you wanted to, if you can find space on there for that. But you know what? They're not well enough to find for me. So I'm going to go ahead and give them some little eyes. So what I do for this is just taking one marshmallow is just rip off little pieces, take the sticky sides and just put it on there. And just keep doing that until you get some eyes that are looking okay. So just tearing off very small little pieces. Of course, it's not going to look perfect, but that's all right. That is all right. All right, so I've got my eyes there. Now, this part is going to be a little bit tricky as well. So what I went ahead and did, and what I went ahead and did, I can't speak today, was took some of that sweet Nutella hazelnut spread and just spooned some into a little Ziploc bag and cut just a tiny little bit off of the corner of the bag. And what that gave me is this little nozzle that I can use to give the bats little pupils. So this could get a bit tricky. As I said, I just cut a very small bit off the bag. I don't know if you can quite see that there. But I'm just going to go ahead and just lightly squeeze out, just very lightly onto the marshmallow bits and give them some definition to their eyes. All right. And see, there we go. Now our bats have some nice little eyeballs. Now they're looking a little more complete. And that's it for the third piece. That concludes this episode of Cookin' with Collin. If you liked the video or you have any suggestions on future episodes, shoot me an email at this address or leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button or keep an eye out in your building around the second week of every month. And if you skip to this part of the video just to get the details for the prize giveaway, gotcha. That was hidden earlier in the video, so make sure you go back and watch out for it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have fun, stay safe, and happy cooking. Bye.